Welcome to Chief of Party to Chief of Party, Success in Your First 90 Days. As you navigate the USAID landscape for the first time or seek to sharpen your skills, we're here to provide the guidance you need to address the unique challenges of this role. Host Donna Vincent Roa, an experienced Chief of Party, will inform and inspire your journey.
Welcome to another Chief of Party's Success episode where we dive deep into the trenches of leadership, not just to celebrate the victories, but to embrace the learning curves that come with setbacks and challenges. Remember, the path to impactful leadership is not paved with relentless success, but it's often littered with the debris of well-intentioned failures. So let's get to the heart of what it means to lead a USAID-funded project, especially when things don't go as planned. I am Dr. Donna Vincent Roa, glad to have you on this episode. Imagine you've just initiated a promising project aimed at enhancing ag productivity in a developing region. Expectations are high, and so is the optimism for successful outcomes. Fast forward 6 months, and the yield is not what you expected. The community, sadly, is disengaged, and your metrics are not meeting the targets. What do? You're at the crossroads. Every chief of party faces at one point or another the crux of failure. This isn't the time for finger pointing or entertaining feelings of defeat. It's a time for what I like to call strategic recalibration. It's about looking at what went wrong, not to assign blame, but to learn, adapt, and to innovate. Take the story of a health initiative in East Africa, where the introduction of new sanitation facilities was met with really strong resistance from the local community. It was actually the textbook case of a noble objective that was clashing with the reality on the ground. The lesson, community engagement, isn't just a buzzword. It is the lifeblood of project success. The project was eventually redesigned to include local leaders in the planning and the execution, and guess what? The impact was night and day. Innovation, as you well know, isn't just about new ideas. It's about new perspectives on old problems. Sometimes it takes a setback to shine a light on a path that you've never considered. I remember a literacy project that struggled because the educational materials, well, they didn't resonate with the local culture. It took a failure in adoption rates to prompt a redesign of the content, and this time, the project leader invited input from local educators and students. As you might imagine, the result was a program that didn't just teach, but inspired the local community because they could hear their voice in the materials. Let's talk a bit about metrics. We covered that in a previous episode, and as a leader, you know that we have to balance the quantitative with the qualitative. Numbers do matter, but as we've said before, so do narratives. We can't get lost in the data. What we need to do is to use it to tell a story of where we are, even where we need to be, and in some cases explaining how we're going to get there. It's a more compelling approach and certainly one that resonates more deeply with stakeholders and teams alike. So what actionable steps can you take when confronted with project setbacks? First, you want to foster a culture where failure is not a dirty word, but an opportunity for growth. Encourage your teams to bring forward bad news early without the fear of reprisal. I find that making this a practice and an expectation actually sets the stage for rapid problem solving, and for you, as a chief of party, being known as someone who takes action on issues and problems and facing failures head on. Reflection should also be a built-in part of this process. After action reviews, for example, aren't just for military operations, they're for any leader who wants to continuously improve. Next, you have to stay flexible because your ability to pivot in the face of new information, in my opinion, is a superpower in the dynamic world with which we work. There's so much to be said for our ability to pivot and to course correct in a circumstance that ultimately yields better results and better project outcomes. As we wrap up today, here's a question for you to ponder. What if your greatest failure is just the prelude to your most significant innovation? Keep that in mind as you navigate the complexities of your chief of party role. And remember, the stories of setback are often the bedrock upon which lasting success is built. Your journey as a chief of party is unique, but there is a common thread required of us in this role, and that is resilience. We need to embrace the challenges and learn from them, and let those challenges be the catalyst for our most impactful work. Signing off for this episode, but first I want you to carry this thought with you. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a critical part of it, and until next time, lead boldly, innovate bravely, never stop learning, and don't be afraid of failure. Thanks for your time today. I'm Dr. Donna Vincent Roa. Have a great week.
Thank you for tuning in to Chief of Party to Chief of Party, Success in Your First 90 Days, your go-to source for insightful, actionable guidance that can shape the success of your project. Let's continue to drive change and create impact, one USAID-funded project at a time.